This is Sexuality Part 8, Risk-Taking Teen Pregnancy. Okay, I'm pretty sure I follow along pretty well with your textbook, but the first thing that I actually want you to do is I put a video right before this in Canvas, and it was called Kids Talk to Teen Mom. I want you to start with it. If you haven't watched it already, stop this, go back, watch that video. The reason I want you to start with this, or maybe you already have, is because it's 5 minutes of realizing just how much kids do not know about pregnancy and labor and delivery. And so, labor and delivery is part of this whole thing, so you should probably know about it. So, I want you to start there. If you haven't, go do that. And if so, we can keep going on. So, teen pregnancy. Oh, this looks a little different on my other screen. That's okay. Okay, so each year, more than 200,000 American adolescents between the ages of 15 and 19 become pregnant. The United States does have the highest teen pregnancy rate among all industrialized countries, and having an unintended pregnancy increases the odds that an adolescent mother will experience difficulties in parenting, and unfortunately, 90% of those are unintended. So let's talk about the prevalency of teenage pregnancy, because if you watch anything in the media, even if you scroll TikTok, there is a lot of teen moms, and they all are doing great. And I just want to say that the show, 16 and Pregnant, that used to be on MTV, or Teen Moms, that was kind of a spinoff from it, it kind of glorifies teen pregnancy. It's not always the case, because not everybody has a great support system. That's me going off slides, and now I'm going to go back. About 1/4 of American young women become pregnant at least once by age 20. The rate was twice as high in the early 90s when it was at its absolute peak. It has dropped, mainly due to an increase in improved contraceptive use. But rates do differ by ethnicity, and we're going to look at that in the next slide. This is all just me adding to things, so this is not technically in your book, but some of it kind of is, so stick with me here. Be careful with teen pregnancy data. Data might be skewed, and there are 4 reasons why. The first is the word teen. Is it, like I just said, 15 to 19, or is it 13 to 19? That's not the same as an adolescent, right? Or is it? So be very careful when the word teen is being used, because it's not good to compare apples to oranges when one is about 13 to 17-year-olds and the other one is about 15 to 19-year-olds. Second, what is not reported? There are plenty of pregnancies that are not reported. Plenty of data that does not get reported as a pregnancy because the end result was not written on a birth certificate, which leads me into third. Be careful of birth rate versus pregnancy rate. Oh, goodness gracious, these are so different. Approximately 25% of all teenage pregnancies are aborted. Slightly more than 15% end in miscarriage. And adoption is just so uncommon. I don't even have a stat on it in terms of its prevalence. But only 40% of teen pregnancies result in the birth of a child. So be very careful of that. And then the last one, number 4, there may be misrepresented data. And I'm sorry to the author again, but even the data provided in the text was unfortunate placement. I guess I won't say misrepresented, but unfortunate placement, because we're talking about prevalency of teen pregnancies. And then this gem was thrown in there. The text stated that 60% result in the birth of an infant. But I just said 40, so why the difference? Because 60% result in the birth of an infant is only to those who are being raised by just a mother. Now, if you have ears, you know that earlier I said 40% of teen pregnancies result in birth, but this says 60% result in the birth only. This only is those being raised by a mother. So keep it in mind. So this is that graph that I told you we would look at. These are the trends in teen births until 2016 or so, starting in 2007. So compared to white youths, Black teenagers are 3 times more likely to become pregnant, and Latinx youth are about 2 times more likely to become pregnant. The lowest rate of teen pregnancy is among Asian American adolescents, and we do see that steady decline, which is great. However, we did see a really strange uptick between 2015 and 2016 in the American Indian Alaska Native. Not sure why, but that did happen. Okay, abortion. So I am not here to promote or encourage abortion. I am here to educate on the statistics of those adolescents who have had an abortion and the statistics of their partners. I would like that to be explicitly said right now, so that way you know. Several studies indicate that pregnant teenage women who abort their pregnancy are actually slightly better off, psychologically, socially, mentally. And I didn't even start with the first thing here. Several studies show, and nothing shows, I don't want to say nothing, that's a very definite language, but we'll just start with several studies show that having an abortion in adolescence does not cause psychological harm to the mother. Okay, several studies show that. Now let's move into this one. So several studies also indicate that they're better off psychologically, socially, and economically when we compare them to women who choose to give birth to their child. So this effect is true in both the United States and abroad. Among the most important difference between pregnant adolescents and those who abort are those who do not. And those who do not is that those who terminate their pregnancies by abortion are less likely over the course of the next 2 years to experience a subsequent pregnancy and are more likely to practice contraception. So that is one statistic there. The benefit of terminating an unwanted pregnancy also extends to young men. When we look at the statistics, we find that men whose partners abort their pregnancy are more likely than those whose partners give birth to a child to complete high school and go on to college. That was a little clunky how I said that. So actually, let's just go look at figure 1111 from your book, because I thought that this was just a great statistic, a great bar graph actually, to show differences. So we're looking at college graduation in the first bar graph, or in teal, and post-high second education. Oh my goodness, post-high school education. There we go. So just some form of secondary education, post-secondary education. Oh my gosh. Sorry, my brain hurts. And that is in green with the dashes, or the one on the right. So what are we looking at here? Well, young men whose partners abort the pregnancy are more likely to complete high school and go to college than those whose partners give birth to their child. And we're looking at a very good sample size here. So in terms of live birth, just over 30% have some post-high school education, but about 5% are college graduates. Those whose partners aborted the pregnancy, we're looking at about just over 20% end up graduating college, but almost 60% go on for post-high school education. And I'm flubbing that word up so much because the word secondary is not included in there, and I want it to be. Okay, actually no, it does not conclude. We still have one more slide. I skipped through that last one because it's identical information to this one, and I should have skipped it anyway. Okay, let's talk about parenthood and their children. Adolescent parenthood and their children. So, first of all, I need to say that a low birth rate means that many don't even reach the point of adolescent parenthood. It needs to be included because I think it's important when you're looking at statistics. But according to international data among developed countries, the United States plays, it pretty much leads actually the list in income inequality and is below average in regular school attendance. So the greater the gap between the rich and the poor, so that greater gap in SES, the greater the rate in teen birth, and the lower the rate of school attendance. And both of those things are correlation and not causation, but they are significant. Rates of teenage childbearing vary across ethnic and socioeconomic groups. We've already talked a little bit about ethnic variability, and it is of note that economically disadvantaged youths are more likely to be teenage parents for a variety of reasons. So when we look at the children of adolescent parents, studies of these children consistently find that they are more likely to have behavioral, even psychological and scholastic problems than their peers born to adult parents. Because teen parent childbearing tends to kind of go hand in hand with a variety of other problems like poverty, it's extremely difficult to know whether any problems of teen mothers or even their children result in their age or from some other correlate factor. Socioeconomic status matters because babies born to middle-class adolescents differ little from their counterparts born to older middle-class mothers, and infants born to poor adolescents are similar to children born to equally poor adults. So it is important to look at socioeconomic status in terms of their children, because there's not much difference when we kind of compare apples to apples, but don't compare apples to oranges. And then lastly, because adolescent mothers are more likely than adult mothers to be unwed and poor, their children are at a greater risk of developing a variety of psychological and social problems. And that is going to conclude this video.